For approval. The loan which was brought on in the House was $190 million. I am aware that the audit is completed and the approved amount that has come out of audit is about $118 million. So we should be able to pay what Auditor General is reporting, not the estimate that we were given. And as we made a disclaimer that day, that we shall only pay based on the Auditor General's report. And after receiving this report now, we are going to have this report laid on table this morning, and that will form a basis of the Parliament's document, and the payment should be done as per the agreement. I want to thank you so much, Auditor General, with your team for the good work you're doing. We also want to thank ERA, the MD ERA, for supporting the Auditor General in providing all the required documents that are required to complete the audit. And we pray that as the distribution takes over, that we get better services. We really pray that we get better services. I want to thank you once more.
Thank you. Honorable members, you recall that on 20th of March 2025, this House passed a resolution authorizing government to borrow euro equivalent of US dollars 190,988,556 from Stanbic for the UMEME Limited Buyout. This amount was conditioned to the confirmation of the actual monetary amount of UMEME's investment by the Auditor General. This morning, the Auditor General submitted the special audit report for the end of lease and assignment agreement between UMEME Limited and Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited. Was submitted today morning. And the Auditor General has verified and confirmed the buyout amount of United States dollars 118,385,603 against the amount we approved of 190,988,556, which we had conditioned to this special audit. I will now invite the Parliamentary Commissioner to table the report. Then I'll guide further.
I beg to lay on table the special audit report for the end of lease and assignment agreement between UMEME Limited and Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited. I lay, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Minister of Finance. Honorable colleagues, since we conditioned the approval to this audit, and the Auditor General has given a varying amount by a big margin, we need government to put into consideration this audit when they are finalizing with UMEME. Therefore, this can only be done if this report is adopted by the House, so that it's a document of the House, since the Auditor General is part of the House. So I now want to put the question that the House adopts the recommendation. Please. Please, a Minister of Finance is a member of Parliamentary Commission. Okay? Please. Okay? How do you? Yeah, please. This is a report of the Auditor General, who is part of the House. Okay? I don't want to subject it to debate. We just want this report to go to government, so that now for us we have finished our part, because the approval of the round was conditioned to this special audit. So I don't know what's, I don't know procedure.
Mr. Speaker, we have never passed a report of the Auditor General we have not read. This, Mr. Speaker, is going to be the first in modern history of Parliament that a report can be read there and MPs pass it without even seeing it. So the procedural issue I am raising, Mr. Speaker, because the rules governing committees, we have accountability committees that deal with these reports and then report and we adopt as advised. So, Mr. Speaker, the procedural issue is whether now you have waived those particular rules and now reports can be brought here and we pass them without even knowing and looking at them, Mr. Speaker.
Lop.
I am a little flummoxed because we were here as Parliament and we appropriated $190.9 million. We protested that, firstly, because there was no Auditor General's report. It carried the day. We are now being told that there is an Auditor General's report mentioning $118 million. Honorable Speaker, you're saying we should adopt the Auditor General's report and hand it over to government. I don't know how that gets to apply, because are we then handing over the appropriation role to government? I thought it is this House, Honorable Speaker, that appropriates. We appropriated $190.9 million in error. In error because there was no Auditor General's report. Now we have the Auditor General's report. Perhaps we should be rescinding the other and then appropriating a new figure, as opposed to just passing the Auditor General's report and then we say, government, we are trusting you, perhaps to bring back the balance, to take it back to where. I don't know how that gets to apply. But also, Right Honourable Speaker, I think it would be prudent that the Auditor General's report is, number one, verified, studied. The Auditor General is part of Parliament. And on an annual basis, the Auditor General gives us reports as Parliament. We send them to accountability committees, they are scrutinized, and all of that, because the Auditor General's report needs to be studied. They do work for us as Parliament. So before we pass it, it would be good that we know, as colleagues are saying, what is in that report, can we ascertain? So that we don't have too many runnings, because now there's 190, now 118, we might discover it should even be less, Right Honourable?
Thank you. Now, honourable colleagues, begin with, these are not annual reports, which must go to the committee. These are special audit reports. Annual reports are the ones provided for under our rules of procedure that they need to go to committee. That's number one. Number two, this is a time-bound report. Which year yourselves, when you are passing the resolution, I think was it 2 weeks ago? Yes, on 20th of March, okay? You conditioned to this report. Not you processing and going through this, but conditioned it to this report. And mind you, we must sort with UMEME by 31st of March. Okay? By 31st of March, which is Monday? Is it Monday? Is it Monday? Yeah. So now what it means, if by then we have not yet pronounced ourselves on this report of the Auditor General, government will continue with what we pass. Because they don't know about it. They don't know about it. They don't have it. Okay? The government has a figure. Government has a figure presented to us. We passed. And now the Auditor General has said, no, the amount was higher. We have verified it should be reduced by this amount. And this is an office of government. So the timeline is honorable colleagues. Otherwise, what do I lose by referring it to the committee? I would love that. But now, if we are to beat the deadline of 31st of March, which is next month, that is in the contract. Whereby, if we don't settle by that timeline, remember we get a blank check to start trickling and doing what in terms of interest and penalty. So you don't have much. Honorable Kanya?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I was a chairperson of accountability committees in Africa. Government, Tanzania, Kenya, South Africa, are not stopped from implementing the report of Auditor General. In fact, in Tanzania, the government, once the report comes out, they implement and then report to Parliament as Parliament discusses. So it is the wish of government and also the role of Parliament, the way we decide we want to move. Special audit report has issues of criminal nature. In some countries, the government does not need to wait. But also, this report, which is time-bound, what we are requesting, Right Honorable Speaker, that you invoke the necessary rules so that when the House takes position, the operation is within our rules. But also, government needs to look at the practice that has been adopted, that government does not need to wait for Parliament before you implement the report of Auditor General. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and I agree with you, especially this is a special audit report that has been requested by Parliament, not provided that the Auditor General must have done this under the law or what, and we are time bound. So, honorable colleague, the decision is ours, whether we want government in its final settlement with UMEME to consider this report or not. Colleagues, I now put the question that the House adopts the recommendation of the Auditor General as contained in the special audit report for the end of lease and assignment agreement between UMEME Limited and Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Clerk, please extract this resolution and ensure it reaches government today. It reaches the government today so that it is considered in their final discussion with UMEME.